All right, guys, let's look at 2.5 Card Wars. So in this, you're going to simulate a card game called War with randomly drawn cards. And so the game rules are players start with 10 cards each. Players draw one random card each round. The higher card wins. The winner gets to keep both cards. The game ends when a player is out of cards. Player with all the cards at the end is the winner. Our input for this one is we are pressing the enter key to flip the card. And whoops, sorry about that. And our output is our player card totals, random values 1 to 10, a winner each round, and overall winner. So here's your requirements for this one. You have to use a while loop to iterate rounds, use random.randit to draw random cards each round, and use conditionals to see who wins. And as always, if you're interested, our challenges are down here. You can see how many rounds it took to win, or on a tie, both players could lose a card, or you could add face cards if you wanted, Jack, Queen, King, or you could add aces. Any of these would do for your challenges. So before we get started, let's hit run solution to see how this thing is supposed to play. So in run solution, it says player has 10 cards remaining, computer has 10 cards, press enter to flip. So I'm going to put my cursor down here and I'm going to hit the enter key. And it says I drew an 8 and the computer drew an 8 and we tied. And so we still have 10 cards, so we hit enter again to flip. I drew a 4, computer drew an 8, computer wins the hand. I now have 9 cards, computer has 11, hit enter again. And so on and so forth. Each time somebody wins until somebody has the least amount of cards. So looks like I'm at a stalemate, or I'm losing. I'm losing terribly. Okay, so you get the idea of how it goes. So now, to take a look at the code here, let's start off with line 9. So in line 8, the comment tag says import the random library. That's done with the import random. At line 12, it says assign 10 to the variable player cards, so that you know how to do. Player underscore cards gets 10. At line 16, it says assign 10 to the variable computer cards. And there it is again, computer cards. And it instructs you to test after this line, so make sure you run it. You're not going to see much, you're just checking for bugs. Then down here in the draw cards loop of things, line 21 says while player cards is greater than 0 and computer cards greater than 0. So at line 22, that's what it should look like. While player cards greater than 0 and computer cards greater than 0, colon. And then the big chunk of this is indented, so make sure you get your indents correctly. So starting at line 24 is where the turn setup begins. At line 26, it says print remaining cards, or remaining player cards. And don't forget to typecast. So at line 27, we have print player has plus str player cards plus cards remaining. At line 30, it says print remaining computer cards, and again, hint, you have to typecast. So print computer has plus str computer cards plus cards remaining. So if you're smart, you'll type this line here, highlight, copy it, paste it down here, and just change that word and that word. Then in line 33, we have get input, prompting, press enter to flip a card. So again, we have input, and then we say press enter to flip a card. Notice we're not storing this input in a variable. It's just an input to get an enter. Then in line 36, we have a blank line. And that does it for the turns. Now let's look at the draw card section. Again, if I'm going too fast, you can slow the video down or you can pause. At line 43, it says use randint To get a random value between 1 and 10, assign it to variable player. So we have player gets random randant. Don't forget the dot in between. And then we're choosing values 1 to 10, 1 comma 10, because we're going to have 10 cards. And then at line 47, rinse and repeat, this time for the computer. So we say computer gets random.randant 1 to 10. Then at line 50, it says print the value that the player drew. So we print player drew plus str player. This player here, again, is referring back to the number up here that the player drew. Okay, you see the correlation? We're just printing whatever value randomly was selected. And then for line 53, we are doing the same thing, but this time for the computer. Again, notice the computer variable here is linking back to this variable here, where the computer variable received a random value 1 to 10. Now on to the calculate winner section. Under calculate winner, line 58 says if player is greater than computer. So again, notice that this is indented. So right here is what that looks like. If player greater than computer, don't forget your colon. We're going to print player wins the hand. So right here that is print player wins the hand. We also need to increment the player's hand by 1, meaning the player picked up the computer's card. And we need to decrement the computer cards by 1, meaning the computer lost, ergo the computer has to give up a card. Down here at line 72, we have an ELIF. ELIF computer is greater than player. Again, computer and player referring back to these random.randant values right here that were created before. So we have if the player is greater than computer, ELIF the computer is greater than the player. And if the computer is greater than the player, at line 75, we print the computer wins. And in this turn, if the computer wins, the computer cards increment by 1, and the player cards decrement by 1. Okay, now let's talk about else. So, else, colon, we're going to print that there was a tie. Print, parenthesis, quotation mark, tie. No one wins. Everyone keeps their cards. Now, if you recall in the challenges, I do believe they suggested that in the tie you could make it so that both players lose their cards. So if you would want to make that change, you would do that right here. You would declare that in your string, and then you would need a player cards decrement by 1 and a computer cards decrement by 1 right underneath that. Line 92, you're printing a blank line. And then our final output. So we got an if statement. If player underscore cards is greater than computer underscore cards, colon, print player wins the game. ELIF computer underscore cards greater than player underscore cards, colon, print computer wins the game. Okay, and then notice I haven't tested yet and was told to test many, many times. So let's test to make sure that it runs. Okay, player has 10, computer has 10, hit enter. Okay, I drew a 10, computer drew a 7, I win. Player has 11 cards now, computer has 9, hit enter again. I drew a 9, computer drew a 5, I win again. Okay, so far so good. So this will continue on and on until one of us has 0 cards, which is getting pretty close. See if I can get it down there. Maybe not. It's like the game that never ends. Okay, I'm not going to keep going. You get the idea. Make sure you have no bugs. When there are no bugs, turn it in. Toodles.